What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway alongside James D. Jackson, Sooners Illustrated and 24/7 Sports at the stadium in Norman. The 2024 season got underway on Friday night. Oklahoma demolished Temple as expected, 51-3. Jackson Arnold era is underway. The OU defense looked great. Some instant reaction here from James and I. James, let's just start in general. Kind of a weird game because they blew them out. I mean, Temple's not very good. They did what they were supposed to do, and we'll talk about the offense and the defense specifically in a second. But overall, I mean, you take it one game at a time. There's a lot of new for this Oklahoma team. A couple new coordinators, new quarterback, new players, obviously with transfers and everything like that. You know, a good start, though, overall. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of it, but a good start, a nice, comfortable win to open the season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about it last season that it was a defensive-led team. That is just gotten bigger this time around, seems like. Yeah. Just after one game, that's what it looks like. I mean, 5 turnovers for that defense overall. You got 6, with the special teams as well, but 5 turnovers for that defense, and it led to points on the offensive side. Yeah. Now, a lot of times it was Tyler Keltner just booming field goals, which that's also a positive we'll get to later. I mean, but this defense is outstanding. I mean, we've been saying it all of fall camp. We've been saying it. This defense is probably going to be a top 5 defense in the nation. It looked that way tonight. I mean, we'll talk about the offense here in a second, but I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's gush about the defense to start. Like you said, defense was fantastic in this game. I mean, Temple, who's not a good offense, Temple's not a good team, and let's acknowledge that right off the top. We get that. Obviously, we know that. But this Temple team, they couldn't move the ball. 6 turnovers tonight. You're going to win a lot of games. You turn the ball over 6 times. Temple couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. Got lots of pressure on quarterback Forrest Brock. I mean, you really don't have a lot to complain about. A lot of guys got involved. Grayson Holton had a big game. Denny Stutzman did his thing. Jaren Kanak had the touchdown on the fumble off the punt. I mean, overall defensively, again, it's one game against Temple, but yeah, I don't know how you could leave this stadium feeling anything other than really good about the state of the defense. They did what they were supposed to do, which is dominate. Temple had a hard time doing really anything.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked Grayson Holton and R. Mason Thomas. I think they set the tone early for this defense, and up front is where you want to see it at, and they did a really, really good job there. And then Marcus Strong ending the game with 2 sacks. I mean, that shows you how good this defense was. I mean, just throughout the entire game they were dominant, and they kept it going throughout the whole game. So really impressed, as we said, really impressed about this defense. You got a couple of interceptions that you needed. Sure. Jaden Hardy had a gift just near the end zone, so his was really easy. But you talk about that tipped interception from Kanai Walker. Mm-hmm. that was amazing. I mean, the defense is playing together. They look good. You can see the experience of this unit playing on the field today. I mean, they all know where to be at. It was only, I think it was one breakdown throughout the entire game, but they made it and they got back to it. And one where you thought it was going to get really ugly, and Ethan Downs comes in there and strips the ball away. I mean, so defense really looked really good.
100%. Just physical. I mean, a lot of just hard hits. A lot of those fumbles were, I mean, obviously Ethan Downs came in and just did that nice swipe move, but a couple of them were just good, clean, just hard physical tackles, creating those types of plays. And again, 6 turnovers, you'll take that, obviously, every single time. Mm-hmm. Let's flip over to the offense. So a weird game for the offense because the first 2 drives, it was, like butter. Right down the field, looked really good. Jackson Arnold looked really comfortable, I thought, in this game. Had some nice touch a few times. Joel Farouk had that long catch. Then Farouk gets hurt. Brent Venables said post-game broken foot. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So you just lost Joel Farouk for a bulk of the season. Obviously, Jaden Gibson's out for the entire season. Nick Anderson missed this game. Not supposed to be long-term, but he's dealing with something. That wide receiver room, which was so deep, is losing key guy after key guy right now. And then Branson Hickman, who's been in and out all camp, he goes down early in this game, and the offense really never looked the same. After Branson Hickman went out, Gary Hatchett kicked over to the center spot. Spencer Brown went in at tackle, and it just never was really the same. Oklahoma had a hard time running the football all night long. Some rushes at the end in garbage time kind of helped the stats look a little better. Taylor Tatum got loose a couple times at the end. But overall, James, it feels silly, honestly, in a 51-3 game. But it's hard not to leave this stadium feeling a little like, oh, boy, they need to get this offensive line healthy or they might have some problems down the road in some of these SEC games. It's hard not to feel that way.
I mean, that's what we've been saying. I mean, throughout fall camp, we were like, if this offense isn't healthy and they're not playing together, that's worrisome because you're going into the SEC where it's all about the line of scrimmage of play. And we saw once Branson Hickman went out, it changed a lot of what OU could do, and that's against Temple. Now, you all respect the Temple, but they're not the same as an SEC team.
You're not really
and so
close.
that's worrisome. So you hope he comes back pretty soon because Brent Venables said it might be a sprained ankle and things like that. If it's a low sprain, obviously he can come back fairly quickly. So you hope to see that. But let's talk about a positive on the offense. Deion Burks.
That's your guy. He went off.
He went off the first Sooner to have 3 catches in his debut. Touchdown catches in his debut. I mean, that's incredible from him. He had a lot to say after the game. It's going to be up on our YouTube site as well. So keep an eye on that. I mean, he was incredible tonight. You know, and it helped Jackson Arnold a lot because as you listed, a bunch of receivers are out now. I mean, it's just you got to deal with different people out there. And we saw J.J. Hester get out there. We saw Brendan Thompson get out there. Other guys that you not necessarily think were going to be the ones and twos for this receiving group had to carry a big load for this unit today. And so it was good to have Deion Burks, a sure-handed guy, be out there that can make plays and get in the end zone and be free in the end zone.
100% agree. I mean, when you're talking about the receivers room, which, again, we talked about all offseason, so deep on paper, but these big injuries, Deion Burks is kind of that warm blanket right now of keep him healthy because he will look great. Him and Jackson Arnold, they just have it's just one of those things. They just kind of fit together. Feels very similar to Dylan Gabriel and Angelo Anthony last year. Like they just fit together. Burks and Arnold feels the same way. Like they just kind of go together. Also, we're throwing Bauer Sharp as well, who obviously we were all very excited to see. He got out here and right away made an impact. Touchdown on the first drive. You know, he had a few other nice catches. Again, it's one game, but it just kind of felt like, yep, they upgraded at tight end. This guy's going to be a part of this. But the run game, you know, it had a hard time getting going. I mean, Javonte Barnes, I thought looked pretty good, you know, all things considered. Taylor Tatum had some nice runs there at the end. But, you know, for a lot of this game, they just really couldn't run the ball. So that's going to be a key thing to watch as we move along. And, you know, I guess the silver lining, the spin zone, is that it did look good when Branson Hickman was in there. So if you're an OU fan, I think that's what you have to tell yourself is hopefully he comes back. Hopefully you can get some of these other guys back. There was no Jake Taylor today as well, who was expected to start a tackle. They held him back. You know, you still have Troy Everett hopefully coming back eventually. So hopefully you get some of these guys back and it'll be okay. But right now it's very kind of hodgepodge. And they're going to have to work on some things because what they had out there today after Hickman went out, it's probably not going to work long term. Other things, I mean, kind of a mixed bag. Just run through a couple other things you can chip in.
Well, let me talk about that offense a little bit. Tom looked it up because we're so excited about the tight end play because Tom looked it up. It was just 2 touchdowns between those tight ends last year, the whole season. And so Bauer Sharp coming out, getting the first touchdown reception, and then having another couple of catches, that's a good sign. That's a good sign they were able to do it. And even Jackson Arnold acknowledged, we use the tight ends a lot more than we did last year. So that was good to hear from him, you know, when we had a little media scrum there in just a couple of minutes ago. But, I mean, it was a really good game for him. I mean, that's positive for this offense. You talked about it. The offensive line is still the worrisome part of this. So we'll see what happens on that.
Yeah, 100%. What did you, before I get to a couple other short things before we get out of here, what did you think of Arnold? Because, you know, it was – obviously, Jackson, we've seen him. He played in BYU game. He played in, you know, some garbage time here and there, some packages, had the Alamo Bowl. This is a different – had the whole offseason. It felt different. I thought he looked pretty good, pretty comfortable. Some nice touch on some good passes. Didn't really get to stretch it out too much. Part of that was because Brent Venables, they said they kept it a little vanilla. Then they also, you know, were just missing guys. But I thought Jackson Arnold had a pretty solid performance his first game out here. Did you agree on that? I thought he looked pretty good.
I think it seems like he's going to be a rhythm type of guy. So getting behind the chains is what usually halted their drives. Like on that first down, after that it kind of halted. So that when they had a very good play of 4-yard, 5-yard gain on the first play of the drive, it usually went really well for the offense. So that's what I think he is at the moment. But we'll get a chance to see more a little bit from him. So. Not too much to take from him, but he was a good outing from him. There was a couple of drops that even Brent Venables said actually would have really, really helped the offense, especially you know, down the stretch. So that's what I take away from that, especially for Jackson Arnold.
100%. Just a couple other, you know, miscellaneous things here. You know, Brent Venables talked about it post game. Woody Washington was held out of this game. Says he's fine. He could have played if they needed him to, was kind of how he phrased it. So we'll see if he can get back in there soon. Kind of the same for Gentry Williams, who did play a little, I believe, in this game. I don't know how many snaps he actually had. Not a lot, but they held him back, kind of same thing. So hopefully we can get those guys back soon. Obviously, Sam McCullough, again, did not play. He's been out all fall camp with that foot injury. And then, you know, the kicking game, we were unsure. Brent Venables said he's going to go with Keltner, but it was like, that's weird. And they did roll with Tyler Keltner today, and he was great. He was great, 3 for 3 with a couple of bombs. The first one was over 50 yards.
50 yards, yeah.
I would say pretty firmly he's your kicker, at least for now. So that's nice to see. I mean, any other miscellaneous things? I mean, you asked Brent Venables about special teams, post-game. Special teams was kind of a strength all day.
Was strong throughout the entire day. We talked about those 3 field goals from Tyler Keltner. I mean, Zach Schmidt, kickoffs. I mean, it was just one kickoff that was actually returned. I think that was by design that they had a return on that. Yeah, they had a return on that one. And then the few times that the punters got in, Elzinga, I mean, he did really good as well. So I mean, like, special teams overall was great. And then you had obviously the touchdown play with Jaron Kanak doing his thing. So I mean, special teams is really good for OU today, and that's a big turnaround from last year. We talked about it with the tight ends. Tight ends and special teams is what we were saying. The only issue was the offensive line. That's it.
Yeah, and which has been a conversation throughout the offseason. It looked so great for a couple drives, and then Branson Hickman went down, and it never quite looked the same. And so that'll be the concern moving forward for Oklahoma. We'll see what they do with that starting lineup. If Branson Hickman is out, that'll certainly be a talking point all week as we get ready for week 2, which will be back here at the stadium next Saturday. Houston comes in here. It's another night kick, 6:45 next Saturday here at the stadium. We only scratch the surface here, obviously. Like always, we'll have time to go back and watch the game back and pull it apart further on the podcast on Monday, so be sure to tune into that, the Sooners Illustrated podcast, every Monday and Thursday all season long. And, of course, on the YouTube channel, you can also see full post-game reaction from Brent Venables, along with a medley of players and both coordinators. We had never talked to Zach Callaway before tonight. It'll be on the YouTube channel by the time you're watching this, so go check that out. Hear from Zach Callaway. He was great post-game as well, so a whole lot there for you. And, of course, over on the website, oklahoma.247sports.com, loads of post-game coverage from this one, and obviously much more to come. And then we'll be turning the page, getting ready for Houston next Saturday. But one game in the books feels pretty good. Good start to the season for Oklahoma, though. Good, solid way to start.
A good way to start, a good starting point. You can build on it from here. There's obviously more left on the bone. Even Deion Burks was saying 100%. That. So we'll see what happens with this team. I mean, they have a lot of room to grow, so that's really good for them.
100%. That's it for now. We'll see you back on Monday in the Sooners Illustrated podcast, and then Houston comes into town next Saturday. For James D. Jackson, I'm Josh Callaway signing off for now from Gaylord Family, Oklahoma Memorial Stadium.